Nick, what's up, man?
Oh, just another day living the dream.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Nick and Justin show for episode 12.
I'm ready for this one. I got three really good topics.
Oh, I only got one because I just came back from vacation. So, yeah.
It's okay. I got you. I got you. Here, I'll throw them
Yeah,
out real
it's all
quick.
good.
Ready?
All right, go.
Kickstarter for politics, Sriracha Gold, rent the runway, and an airline have a baby.
Mm. All right, my single one is salary a drug?
Okay. That yes. Okay, let me dive into mine first, and then we'll plug you in somewhere in the middle.
All right, go for it.
All right.
Let's start with yours.
So there's one presidential candidate that's taking a playbook straight out of Silicon Valley, and I think it's freaking genius. When you think of politics, when they're doing all of their fundraising, it's usually them meeting with a bunch of like bigwig rich people, collecting some cash. No one knows anything about it, super untransparent. But there's someone that's trying to flip that upside down, and bring a little innovation to the space. So let me break it down. So Vivek Ramaswamy, which I probably butchered his last name pretty bad. He's a Republican candidate, primary candidate, and he came from the entrepreneur space. So he ran a couple of health tech companies. He co-founded Chapter Medicare, which was the competitor to Fair Square. So I know his company, his recent company pretty well. But since he's decided to go the more political route, I think he's taken a little bit of a backseat with that company for now. What he's proposing, he's calling it Vivek's Kitchen Cabinet. You know how like when we're on DoorDash or Uber or anything like that, they always have that share with a friend, get $5.
Yep.
He's bringing that model to political fundraising.
Explain.
So you could, if let's say you're a individual that supports him, you would sign up to basically become like an affiliate. For every person that your code yields some kind of donation, you'll get a 10% kickback from that. Additionally, based on the ranking systems, right? Like how many referrers you get, things like that, you'll hit different awards and incentives, such as personalized donation pages, exclusive campaign swag, calls with Vivek himself, invites to different special events. So it's like all these things that for the most part you wouldn't think would be involved with a campaign. He's bringing it to that scene. What are your thoughts on that?
It's creative. I think looking at it, it's a good way to track. Oh yeah, who's really gonna follow? I think in campaign, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna speak out, but how do people really monitor campaign? Oh, who you voting for? Who you supporting? So I think that would be a nice little trick to figure out. Okay, I have the X amount of supporters, and you have like kind of a live data set versus cold calling saying, "Are you supporting X?"
I love the innovation side of it.
I love the creativity, but I'm like baffled. So how is it maximizing going to work? Is it kickstarting just the support of it, or is there like a regular type of Kickstarter where it's traditionally like a tier? You know what I mean? You put X amount of donation on there. So have you figured that out? Is it just tracking like the affiliates, or is it if I'm donating X amount of money to the campaign, what is it going to come out of? What's the output for me as an individual for me donating to the campaign?
Yeah, no, that's
because when you say Kickstarter, when I heard about that.
Yeah, when you're thinking of Kickstarter, and I just texted you the actual link too, so you can look at it while I'm talking. When you're thinking of a Kickstarter, there's different levels for the amount of money that you're pledging for that product. In this case, he's the product, right? You're supporting him in his primary in order to become a Republican candidate for actual consideration. What all of these primary candidates are really doing right now is there's different threshold markers that they need to hit in order to actually become a primary candidate. Some of them are definitive number of contributors or supporters or things like that. So there's all these different criteria that when we'll see the primary Republican candidates, right, this is why they'll have 15, 20 different people battling it out to become the top candidate against the Democratic incumbent or candidate. The thing that I love about this, is something that you had briefly touched on, which is the tracking aspect. I'm not a campaign manager in any way, so I could be totally off here. But creating unique links for different individuals that are basically your advocates, that helps identify your true fans. And you can now really quantify who those individuals are that might not have been someone that you personally know. And you can now nurture that relationship. You can get that relationship going in a way that you can, inspire different behavior to help you on your campaign. I think if you think of this entire model, apply it to Obama back when Obama was running. Would you say it's going to be successful?
Yeah.
So a little bit is the vehicle or the product that's being supported. Just like
the product is a person. Yes.
Exactly. This is just another channel to help create the system. Just like we see on Kickstarter, a ton of them die there and we've never even heard of them. But there's a few of them that were very, very successful.
I'm just reading up on it. Let's see. What's also interesting, granted it's for Silicon Valley and I'm not sure his political side, but it's on the tech aspect, you kind of feel like they're going to lean towards blue. It's just funny how I was like, oh, it's a Republican, which I have no issues with Republican Democrat. I'm just analyzing that aspect that for a techie, it's normally leaning towards blue, if I'm correct. You know what I mean?
I know nothing about Vivek's platform, but seeing this is a total opposite to some old dude who's running for president that doesn't know anything about technology. We all know that someone's ghostwriting his Twitters and all of that kind of stuff. This is interesting in the way of it's like willing to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, it is new and it's intriguing me. Just from the website itself is very 3.0-ish.
Yeah, it's modern.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
And again, this is not backing any candidate. I just thought that
it's just a new...
It's amazing.
No, I'm getting nerdy on the tracking side.
Okay.
I just think at the moment when we just hear broadcasters saying, oh, they might be gaining ground, losing ground, you don't really know what that really means and how they're even statistically gaining that number. Is it from a consensus where you just kind of answer from a phone, or is it, but here it's, oh, I have a data where this is the popular spot. And it also helps the party, the campaign itself saying, oh, we have a lot of people supporting and let's divert somewhere else. We know where my large group is. That's an easier way to funnel news sources and things like that. But where I have to actually put in hands in the dirt and actually go out in campaign, it kind of tells me, oh, this is the weaker state where I need to actually go into. So it actually helps more in a strategic standpoint, just having a small metric of just a binary yes or no.
And another piece to this, it's a little bit not transparent on what you need to do to qualify for the special events and things like that. But the fact that that's an option.
Yeah.
If this was Obama's phase, I would be like, yo, what do I got to do? I think I can swing something and then go to some, fancy event that I could put on a tux for the first time ever.
Imagine if Bernie Sanders did this like back 8 years ago. Remember he was just going small, but if he did a Kickstarter techie type of stuff, that would have been an interesting Kickstarter for millennials going from then till, oh wow, we can really see what's going on and then blow it up. That's pretty interesting.
When we're looking at some of the more recent candidates, there's always an inflection point sometimes on the technical side that helps propel them forward from a popularity standpoint. Obama was like known for being one of the first to really utilize social media. Before Obama, social media was not part of the playbook.
Oh, he gathered crowds.
And now it's a go-to for everybody, right? So that you don't stand out anymore. This might be just enough different where other candidates might see it, might be afraid to try it because it may not be allowed.
It might be out of the comfort zone. Just going on, I'm just looking at, oh my goodness, the ages of the candidates right now. It's on NPR. So on average, they're about in their 50s. Vivek is the only one under 40.
Yeah, he's younger, bringing something new to the table.
The second youngest is 44. So it's just that difference of speaking to that generation of the younger ones, he's more in tuned to it, which is a leverage for him. But we'll see how, just in a political space, everything likes to keep it old school. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll leave that one kind of open-ended. Anyone that's listening, feel free to leave your comments below about what you think with this approach. Is it too innovative? Is it shouldn't be something allowed where you're incentivizing people who are helping you raise money to have a kickback of some sort? What do you think? It's a great idea. It's the innovation that some people are looking for when it comes to the candidacy.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay, so should we dive into Sriracha Gold? This one's a short one.
Yeah, dude. I've been watching that, so I think I know where you're going with this, because it is something of a whirlwind. So please kick this off.
So what I had on here is the title: Sriracha is a black market gold mine. And you know how I categorize all of the topics that I'm about to talk to? I put this one in for the culture, because this one is something that is it's a necessity in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a full set of your hot sauces unless Sriracha is sitting there with them. But before I dive into it, have you tried buying Sriracha lately?
Yeah, it's freaking hard. I think it's backstory is that since with certain climate stuff, the company that produces it couldn't produce enough chilies to make Sriracha. So now there's a shortage of Sriracha.
That's exactly the driver for it. It's a supply chain issue where there was a something with the chili crops just didn't yield what they needed to yield. So during also a couple months ago, I was looking for this as well. And it got to a point where every single grocery store that I went to, specifically Asian grocery stores, I was looking on the shelves for Sriracha, because if there's somewhere that's going to have it, that's probably also not super marked up, it's going to be in an Asian market. If I go to Target, they're going to be like, ooh, I'm charging extra for this. So it took a while to find it. Eventually I found it at a Vietnamese shop, and they had cases and cases of it right at the front. And so obviously I grabbed some. But what do you think? Some, right? I grabbed a couple. I'm not doing what people are doing, on the black market. How much do you think this is going for on eBay right now?
Crap, I don't know.
Okay, to baseline, an average bottle is around like $8.99.
$8.99 for an average bottle. Oh my goodness, I haven't bought Sriracha in a long time. I'm not a big spice person. My girlfriend is, so she bought me a bottle, so I still got some in my fridge, so I'm still chilling. But yeah, $8.99 already? That's crazy. Okay. No, I did not know that. I thought
I'm talking about the big bottle, not the small bottle, just the larger of the two bottles.
Okay, fine. That makes more sense. Okay, $8.99. I thought it was still $5. My goodness. I'll say 30 or 50.
Okay, you're not very far off. So right now, I literally just checked right before this recording. It's $30 a bottle on eBay. But there's articles out there that it was going for as high as $80 a bottle.
What?
That's a 10x return on just like moving some Sriracha.
Yeah. I just didn't know Sriracha was that popular. I knew people love Sriracha, but I didn't know that it was that popular. If there's a supply chain issue, you could find an alternative, but they're not diverting from Sriracha. There's Tapatio. There's other.
Did you just really compare Sriracha to Tapatio in terms of flavor?
No, I'm just saying spice. Like, if you want something spicy, you can. There's other form like Tabasco. I don't know if you want that kick. I know Sriracha has a nice cream spice kick to it. I know it's extremely different, but there are other substitutes. But I'm just analyzing the fact that people are not diverting and are staying very loyal to Sriracha.
You just compared Asian spice to Hispanic spice, by the way, and said it was all kind of the same.
We can cut this one, but okay. I compared Asian spices and Mexican spices, totally different, correct? But there's I am just saying that there are different spices. Shut up. Okay, Mr. Sriracha loyal. My goodness.
Dude, it's not just me. There's people that buy these baby bottles of Sriracha and put them on their keychains. You don't see that for many other like hot sauces.
I know. I am saying that that's why the demand is so high, because there's actually, out of all the spices, there's still a high loyalty of it. Like, that's what I'm driving at, my guy.
Oh, yes, it does have a cult-like following.
That's what I'm saying. That regardless of there's different type of spices, yes, for because I remember I remember seeing people put sriracha on everything. Not just on Asian food, on everything. Like they would put hot sauce on. That's why I said people use Tapatio, Tabasco. They put it on everything. That's what I mean. Like regardless of is it going to be Mexican or Asian, they still like the spice and flavor of it, regardless of what it is. People put ranch on everything.
Yeah, those people don't count though. Ranch people are weird.
I'm a ranch person, man. Thanks.
Weirdest thing you've put ranch on?
I don't know about that one.
So salad obviously is okay. Pizza is okay. What else?
I think I stick with the basics. Probably some chicken tenders. Like
okay, that's fair. That's a standard one where you're choosing blue cheese, honey mustard, or whatever.
Like anything fried food. Yeah, fried food. I would.
So a fried Twinkie, you're gonna throw into some ranch?
No, that's just. Maybe now I might try it.
That's disgusting.
Okay, well, going back, there's other things you can put on, but the demand's so high just because of that cult-like following, and it's. I think that's just on the brand itself and quality itself for sriracha. So, and now there's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think I'm just gonna end up buying a bunch more and just throwing it in the back of my shelves just in case this company ends up bankrupting itself.
I think we'll be fine. I think it was just a one bad year.
We'll see. If they were running too thin on margins and everything like that, this could be enough to really mess them up. Yeah, I want to see you walk into a fuzz spot with some like Tapatio and put that on top.
Okay, that's just now that's just disgusting.
They would kick you out.
They would be like, "What is wrong with you? Please leave." I'm like, "Dang it!"
All right, let's dive into your topic.
My top. So the question is salary a drug? Reason why I got that question is because of we were talking once, and then it was Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. Correct me if I mistaken it, but he quoted it saying, "A salary is a drug they give you to forget your dreams," and that was on Twitter on November 2nd, 2022.
I think you could put it into the category of it's a drug, it's a pacifier. There's the golden handcuffs.
Yes.
I completely agree with it. I've seen it happen to myself over and over again when I'm trying to start a company and then something shiny, and by shiny I mean like a comp package with a company comes in, and then you end up dedicating your time, energy, effort into that company rather than whatever you want to like actually actively work on. I'm seeing it now, being that I'm off that drug.
Forcefully though, but in a good way.
Forcefully, yes. It was a layoff, but now I'm like putting all that time and energy into other projects. And I think I went on this rant a little bit when I got laid off, right in that layoff video at the end, where when I was talking to some of my friends, they've wanted to leave their company for years, and they want to do other things, but because the money is there, they're like, the only way I'm going to do it is if I get fired or I get laid off. And in some ways, it's probably better if they got laid off or fired. Like financially, they don't need it, but because it's there and it's easy, it makes you complacent.
Mm-hmm. So for me, when I was feeling this was about 3 years, again, going into it and me getting back on again, even for this podcast, I was like, dang, I put so much work into anything and minimal growth. How much time I put into projects on hours while people just don't, and they still get paid either more than me or less than me. It just didn't matter how much work you put in, and I just started to really resonate with me. Was that regardless of how much work you put in the salary, it's never going to bump out. How many hours you put in, it's never going to be bumped up. Regardless if you work hourly, yes, you put in hours of overtime, but that's a rate is still forever going to be there unless you negotiate for more. And for me, I was like, dang, this is bad. And before I even read this quote, I already had these feelings about I have to start figuring out ways to get an income outside of a W-2, of a work W-2. And I was like, crap, this is hard. And again, when you're getting tired, when I'm trying to grind out, I'm like, why am I doing this? I just have a job. I'm really going to get paid. And then it just reverts back. I'm like, okay, I got to get it back in a gear. And that's where my complacency lies, is that I could let off the gas because I still have X. So yeah, it is interesting.
We said it in the last podcast. A job is the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to sit there, collect a check. And if it meets all your needs and you're happy with it, then freaking great. If you're striving for more, it sometimes is a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I think
sidebar. So the other
yeah.
time, the other day I was listening to a podcast. It was by a Asian creator, and they called it
Mhm.
the bamboo ceiling instead of the glass ceiling.
Really?
I respected it.
Yeah, of course you did. I respect it too. But no, it's just I'm pretty sure you hear all these coworkers as well, but I'm never one to complain. I just don't. But when people complain about I'm not getting paid enough, not everyone's getting paid enough. Maybe I might have said that in the last pod, but dude, it just this in this quote itself is just telling me, and we're just in a society of saying we still have the power to create more for ourselves, even though we feel like that quote unquote American dream might be dying out, it might be harder, but it's still very much intact. We're not we're not limited to saying that we aren't allowed to build something from scratch. We're not saying we're not allowed to voice our minds or opinions, regardless of the turmoil of society. We still have a lot in America right now in the capitalistic sense. We can still grow something regardless. It's harder, but the possibility is very much there. Is that we can still grow something for ourselves and not be limited or capped by the government, or by limiting a capped, I mean saying, oh, we don't like your idea, we're just gonna cut it type of thing. So yeah, when I read that quote, I also thought about that, and then I thought that got me to thinking of coworkers kind of just complaining or griping about not getting paid enough. Granted, none of us get paid enough. Now, everywhere you go, people are not saying we're not getting paid enough. Crap, it's true. So I don't know. It's just this quote just gets me in so many different ways. What do you? I know I rambled. So what else you got on here?
I was going to ask, do you think it's actually easier or harder to start your own thing now than it was 10, 15, or even like a generation ago?
I think it's harder. I think in the sense of with social media, people trying to be that influencer type of thing. I think that's going to be harder. Originality is difficult because I feel like even this podcast itself, is it original? Is it not? We're just doing it because we're just homies wanting to talk about shit and other topics we find throughout. If people catch on, they catch on. As of right now, our expectation is that we're just going to do this. Some of the people's expectation going into it is we got to make it to get to that influencer status, you know?
Yeah, when I think about jumping off and doing your own thing, at least for those that went to college, you're already behind the eight ball for majority of the time because like you have student loan debt.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not starting at zero to start something. And student loan debt is if you're lucky that you didn't have to also take out personal loans.
And depending what university you went to, you could just be buried down just for undergraduate alone is crazy. So, yeah. I also was thinking, besides just the influencer type of job, it's people feel like they always have to build something new and more creative. And took me a while to figure that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need a business. And the brick and mortar businesses, I know we talked about it during the segment of small businesses just being treated like real estate. It had to shift my mind to, instead of starting something, let's just take over something. And that's easier than doing that. So that dream isn't the dream of that American dream isn't dead. It is harder, but people just have to repivot and figure out where that blue ocean is. By blue ocean, red ocean type of market.
And you could always infuse technology or a different approach to an old business, right?
Mm-hmm. And for the listeners of a blue ocean, red ocean, Nick, can you explain? You say it better than me.
On a
Can
Thursday,
you define the? Can you define this too?
a blue ocean is a market that typically doesn't have a lot of competitors in the space. A red ocean is where it's really crowded and kind of a bloodfest of competition, which makes it a little bit redder. So it's always better to fish where there's no sharks rather than being in the middle of a feeding frenzy.
Mm. Well, can I add something onto that?
Yeah.
Not different on the red ocean, blue ocean, but I'm pretty sure you most likely skip through this part because you like to listen to everything at 2x speed. But back to the Colin Samir podcast with Tim Ferriss, when they're talking about how do you become number one, and Tim Ferriss said he got it from a book, but he said I don't have to be the top of my category because I'm a category of one. And that's the environment he always puts himself in. And that's the environment he always tries to create. When he starts to feel like there is a competitor in a sense, he'll diverge into a new way where he's the only one in that space and be like, wow.
Tony Robbins talks a lot about that. They call it being a category king or queen and just developing a service that's unable to be compared to other competition. And it's a common theme across marketing, PR, tech companies. That's what differentiates a lot of the companies that come up and compete.
Yeah. So,
and it doesn't have to be super innovative. It could just be that you have kick-ass customer service and everyone else doesn't.
it has to be one aspect.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be super technical either.
Dang. So, do you think it's easy? Saying back salary to drug, you think it's easy to achieve this kind of dream, or you kind of feel you're stuck?
Escaping the salary drug?
Mm-hmm.
I think about it a lot when I got laid off. If I wanted to find another job, it's definitely easier to kind of clock in, clock out. I think it's a little bit unfulfilling for me. I would have to find a company that has like a mission that's really aligned with my values to where I'm either making enough where I'm satisfied and the mission outweighs that, or in the best case, has a great mission and pays well. So I time blocked it, trying to give myself the next 6 months to do something at least enough financially to allow me to continue to do it. And then I'll recalibrate in 6 months.
Nice. I want to go on a side topic then, because we talked about this. Was that analyzing our friend group? A lot of our friends are doing amazing stuff. They have families. They're doing the in and out life and clock in, clock out, and having time for family and all that. And there's we both analyze it. It's like, dang, it's so great to have. But we also looked at each other at that moment saying, can we stop what we're doing and just trying to build something for outside of that comfortable zone? I can easily do it. We could both easily do it. Get a job, just focus on, go home, kind of build that relaxed life. But I still don't know why. For me personally, I enjoy the chaos or kind of pressure on my back to build something. I just can never define why I still like doing it. And I know we both kind of resonate with that, regardless of we just in our nature cannot just fall into the routine of get the paycheck, do what we have to do with the paycheck, put it into house, family, and that was and just repeat the cycle and just go on vacation, save up for stuff. And that's nothing wrong with that. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I always feel like I need to build something. It's just hard to turn off for me.
I think I don't like the constraints, and then that's what fuels. Excuse me. I don't like the constraints, and I think that's what fuels me to keep doing something more. And the constraints that I'm always thinking of is growing up, my mom having a coupon all the time, or when going out to eat, there's always the decision of what is there to order. Like I grew up in a family where we didn't order soft drinks when you went out to eat. Are you kidding me? Like you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
What? Don't do that. Get water.
Right? Or when you're on the menu, you're not looking at the most expensive thing on the menu. You're looking at the bottom,
you're not getting,
like 10%.
You're not getting appetizers for sure. You're getting your
absolutely.
main meal.
What is an appetizer?
You
skip the first page.
No, we're not getting dessert either. You look in the middle, you get one meal. If we could share, you share. Applebee's 2 for 10 or 2 for 20 or something like that.
So it's those types of things that are in the back of my mind of things I don't want to have constraints. I think there's a lot. You've definitely heard those stories where people are like, we saved up 3 years to go on this Disneyland vacation.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes, you spent 3 years saving money to go to a Disneyland vacation. I know Disneyland's expensive, but like that is not the status quo I want to have versus I don't even like Disney, but hey, let's just go to Disneyland. All right, cool. Buy some tickets. Let's go. It's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah, mine was yes and no for having my family having that. I think it's just probably that's the pressure, but I just never wanted to go to see how my parents lived for 20 years when I was living with them for 18 to 20 years and then going to do the same routine over and over and over again. For me wasn't. So building something, I think when in that process was the byproduct of discovering I don't have to say wait 3 years to go on a vacation or wait for X, Y, and Z. I can still figure out ways to do it now. So yeah, I went camping. That's why I went. That's why I'm so ill prepared for this interview. But when I went camping and I was just telling we were talking around the fire and they're like, oh yeah, my girlfriend said, where else have you been? And then with her family and her mom, I was like, oh, I'm X, Y, and Z. I've been to at least 10 different countries so far. And they're like, wow. And I was like, what? To me, it felt normal. I know friends in our group go to even more, and I feel like I'm behind. But if you think about other people's circumstances, life, and how they came and where they're at now, I'm living their dream, and that was a crazy aspect. And just by just being different and trying to build something else, kind of led me towards that.
Did you feel like you had to censor yourself with how much you were sharing to not come off like you were gloating or bragging?
No. Like I just said, I've been here, but I think if I started talking about numbers and how I did it, maybe that can be more of a gloat. I don't know. If it's saying, oh, I only spent like $100 doing, then I feel like I'm gloating. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I did all my points and point hacked all this. Yeah, you sucker. No,
That's interesting.
I don't.
So you think
I
how you did it is the gloat, not what you've done?
Yeah.
So if I
That's
was
weird.
telling you that I've been to 19 countries, it's not a gloat. But if I said I did 19 countries for $500 and change, that's a gloat.
Yeah, I feel like, damn, how'd you do that? I'm like, how did you do? What am I doing wrong right now? If you went to 19 countries, or people just van life it and figure that out, and how they're working. It's not you can see all the going back to the Instagrammers. I'm gonna just those van lifers who made it really big and was able to make a living on the road. I think that is, but for me, is the bigger gloat than saying I was able to go to 20 national parks or live this small nomadic life. I want to know how you did it, and that's the gloat for me. So that's point of view. So maybe in the other aspect, reverse, that I was gloating. I went to 10 countries and stuff like that. But in my head, how you did it is the gloat.
That's so interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I usually stop at keeping it very, very short and not talking further about different places I've been because I thought that would always come off a little bit like braggy.
No, to me,
So I never even got to the stage of like how I did it.
I think I stopped caring about where you gone to because that could be the persona. Who was it? Another friend was telling me like a coworker would max out 5 credit cards to go to 10 different countries, and I was like, that sounds horrible. Yes, you went to all these places, but to me, that sounds like you put yourself in a very nightmare type of situation. And I was like, no, that sounds scary for me. So
Yeah.
for me, the gloat was, yeah, I was able to finesse it and still be good. I was like, dang. So perspective, that's all about perspective. So for me, it was just saying, yeah, I was able to say I created this dope life, but I don't have to say I don't people in other I think it's the stigma is still about money and people aren't comfortable talking about money. I don't think people really care about I think I'll talk about all the trips can associate, oh, you have a lot of money. But since we hear all these horror stories and living paycheck to paycheck or living on our credit cards, that even my parents did it, booked all these trips, and I was going to Bahamas and Florida every year. Crap, my mom was financially in debt. I would have rather say now, saying, why the heck did we go on this vacation? I was 7.
Do you remember it though?
Yeah, I remember very clearly. It was a really cool experience, but we did it every year. We didn't have to do it every year.
That goes back
My
to
parents did.
the salary as a drug and the cycle
Mhm.
and the expectations. And
Yeah.
at least for me, that's a constraint. It's a financial constraint of doing it.
So yeah, it's an interesting topic. But yeah. What about you? What do you feel like is gloaty? Do you feel you saying that just saying why do you feel the opposite? Why do you feel you saying where you've been is a gloat?
It's situational, but think of the last trip that I went on. It was a 5-week around the world trip. To explain that to someone in one sit down, I feel like it just comes off like a lot versus, oh yeah, last summer I was in Greece. and just kind of leaving it at that. Oh, tell me about Greece or whatever. And then you can talk about Greece and that's it. And then if it comes up again, you can be like, oh yeah, I was actually in Switzerland last year too. Right. It's almost like dropping the crumbs of everything versus the entire loaf.
Okay.
Because if I came out and just said, yeah, it went, we started the trip, leaving San Francisco, going to Singapore, going to Thailand, making a pit stop, in Switzerland, spending some time in Greece, then going and finishing things off in Paris before we had a extended layover in New York City, and then coming back. Holy crap.
So then let's break down that's why I was like, let's break down the question. So when I was asked the question, I was like, where's all the places you've been to? So if the question is, okay, then you can list out all the places.
I would have just said 19 countries over the span of the past 5 years. That's it.
Oh, really?
That's it. And then if they wanted to double click, I'll elaborate where they double click, but I would not actually list everything.
Oh, okay. That would be a different response then. Okay, that is interesting.
Right, because if I just started rattling it off, saying, well, we could kind of count Canada and Mexico. I mean, they're different countries, but let's be honest, which already some people do count that. So that could stir something up. But yeah, then you start listing all the different areas in Europe, and then you start mentioning the places that we've been in Africa, and then in different places in Asia. And that's not including, I don't personally include layovers in a town unless I leave the airport and explore.
I don't count that.
Yeah, those don't count, or else that number would be
technically. I've been to Barcelona. Whoa.
Yeah, I've been to I don't know how many places, but they were just layovers, so I don't count them. Like I've been to Ethiopia, but in their airport, that doesn't count.
No.
But yeah, I would leave it totally high level, because if I say 19 countries in the past 5 years, the question that usually follows is, oh my gosh, what's your favorite? Or, oh, where's somewhere you want to go again? Or it falls along those lines of the questioning that comes out of it. And then I'll, talk about each one. Which one was the most insightful? India. Things like that.
Oh, dang. No, it's different. It's interesting. Definitely of so many avenues and tangents that we've been on in this one topic, but just crazy. So yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Imagine this. Rent the runway in an airline. Have a baby. So imagine when you're about to leave. Let's say you're going to Japan and you don't need to pack a suitcase. You arrive to your hotel to a stack of clothes that are ready to go because you've already pre-selected them before you left on your trip. You never had to lug around suitcase. You didn't have to worry about the pre-packing, anything like that. Do you think that would be something that you'd be interested in?
Not really.
Why?
It's just is it breaking it down? Is it my clothes, or are they just having clothes and then having it ready? It's not your clothes, it's their clothes, right?
It's just rent the runway. It's not your dress.
For me, I'm very particular. I just like having my stuff. If I had to think about one trip, no, I would not, only because I like having my stuff. And I travel very light anyway, so maybe who travels big suitcases? I travel with a small carry-on suitcase, no matter how long the duration. For me, I wouldn't be interested. It just sounds very unappealing. It just sounds, oh, whatever. That sounds very unappealing for me.
I completely agree with you. So there's an article that came out. Japan Airlines is launching this service called Anywhere, Anywhere. And if you're in my notes, you could click the hyperlink that says online if you want to see what some of their options are. But here's how it works. You would book with Japan Airlines. You would send them your hotel information. And then you go online and you pick these different kits. Each of the kits are anywhere between $28 to $49 each for a range of business or business casual type clothing. The idea behind it is this would help incentivize individuals to not pack as much. And so the planes wouldn't burn as much fuel because of the weight, and it'd be good for the environment. What I was actually hearing was if the planes weigh less per passenger, the company makes more money per passenger. But, we could say that it's for the environment. Sure.
You fit more people in there.
Same amount of people, less weight, more money per person, even though in the prior episode we talked about how most airlines don't even make money on these flights. So when you click through the actual online platform as if you were choosing the clothing, I clicked through a lot of these. It is not my style. That was the big thing. Like, it was super unappealing because I went through, let's see, at the time of this recording, there's 18 different things you could choose. I couldn't find one kit that I would actually select. Like, and it could be a mixture of things. It's a very early beta product. It's invite only right now. The pictures look hurt. They look like Poshmark. Like I took a picture hanging up my clothing on a chain link fence, and the clothes are not even ironed. And sure, this is an MVP. If it works at this level, once they polish it up, then yeah, it's gonna work. I don't see myself being a user of this. You don't see yourself being a user
No.
of this. So if we had to
It's gonna
categorize this as boom or bust, what would you say?
bust for sure. Because the thing about it, if you're gonna be it depends also how what market you're gonna go to. What kind of person is it? Just being a one city traveler and leaving. For us, we usually travel multiple cities, or we do Airbnbs. At that point, maybe if it got better. As right now, we're staying in hotels because Airbnb sucks. Fix your shit, Airbnb. But you have different. We're traveling all the time, so the flexibility of having that, we're not gonna be with Japan all the time. Is it? And let's just say, for example, Japan can go all of these places. Let's say it goes to New York. Let's go say it goes to Tokyo, London, and another country. Say we're going to four countries in the span of, like, we're just doing a month vacation. Yeah, it just sounds. We have to go with a possible hotel that they'll be able to send it to, so it limits our hotel addresses. So what happens if we're trying to find a cheap one? They don't have a business with that, or how's that even going to work? You know. So what are the logistic standpoints of this? If it booms, then it'll be a really great idea. But for right now, I think flexibility wise, I'm not the person to be marketing towards, because I like the flexibility of getting up and going, making sure that my clothes are going to be there. What happens if the clothes aren't there? What if they mess up and put it in the wrong room?
I'm sure they have some of those things thought through.
So yeah, dude, it just, I can see where the comfortability is. If you're just a backpacker saying, I just want to bring my backpack on and just go to Japan or X country and call it a day, I think that'd be pretty sick. If you just want to get a flight, get a backpack, and just go and just have your passport and wallet kind of with you, and that's all you need to go out of country, then yeah, that's pretty tight. But outside of that, I don't see a functionality for this.
The intended customer is definitely not us.
Yeah.
We're low-key minimalists. We travel super, super light. Even like that one trip that I was gone for 5 weeks, it was a carry-on.
Just do laundry there. People have a weird thing about doing laundry. It's just so funny also, sidebar, but doing laundry in another country, doing laundry somewhere else, people are just like, why? Or send it, give it to the hotel, pay for it. I don't know, whatever it's not hard. I don't know why
some people they pack like, because they're like everything. I mean, think about some people that go for a 1 week trip and they have a giant check-in bag.
Why?
I don't think this would appeal to them either, though, because they're going to want their specific shoes or their specific pants or whatever it is. So I agree with you. Yeah, it's going to be a bust on this one, but I do always love some kind of innovation, willing to try it.
Type of process. There's another, I forget if it was a certain airline or something. I think it was Qatar Air. And they would pick up your luggage from your home if you really got first class or something like that, and they would ship it to the hotel. So when you travel, you were traveling minimally. I think that was a service, or there was a service where you could just get your bags picked up and they'll be shipped to the destination, a hotel, and it'll be ready when you get there. I thought that would be kind of cool, but I forget if that was a separate company or a service through Qatar.
That would be cool. That's a very luxury-esque service.
Yeah. You don't have to wait in line, even though you finished flying first class. You don't have to wait at the luggage carrier. Someone already picked it up. It's already getting shipped via somehow, FedEx or something. I don't really know what they're using, all the way to the country of where you're gonna start. And I think that would be a luxury. Okay, cool.
I think the Japan Airlines one could work if they partnered and did more of the rent the runway model. So right now it's a bunch of off-brand kind of clothing, but what if you got to pick everything a la carte? Of course, this is going to have a huge inventory amount that they need. So there's the logistic piece. But what if they had all their big brands there? North Face, Patagonia, Aritzia for, girl clothing, or, whatever it is. Then you could pick and choose different things that you may not have purchased. And you could put together the kits and outfits that you want. If you could do that at a reasonable price, it might actually be worth it. Here's a really good example. This is an extreme example, but when I went to Tanzania and did Mount Kilimanjaro, a majority of people don't have the gear to go and do that hike. And so you have to rent everything. But the way that you do it is you fly in 2 days early, you go into this massive warehouse, and you're basically putting all this stuff together in a very manual way to build the kits that you need. So the guides are there and they're letting you know you need one windbreaker, go find a windbreaker. You need a pair of gloves, go find a pair of gloves. You need these types of pants, go find these pairs of pants. And so in some cases, they didn't have your size. And so you would try them on there and be like, this was close enough. So putting something together like that, that's a very small niche thing of going up Mount Kili. But here's the one thing. All of their stuff was name brand.
Really?
Everything. Arc'teryx, Patagonia, everything. I mean, even REI Co-op was out there. A lot of their stuff, what ended up happening over the years is people that would fly with all of that stuff over there for that trip and pre-purchase it, they just donate it afterward they're done because they don't want to take it back.
Snap. That's
and cool. So just over time, it just built this inventory of clothing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So merging those two, I think there could be something. But as it is with Japan Air, not looking forward to seeing this last very long.
I'm like, no. I think it can probably not. I'm trying to be optimistic. I really can't. I can't see anything what people would actually want to.
All right, let's wrap it up. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for joining us on episode 12 of the Nick and Justin podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe below, leave a comment, throw us a if you like what we're doing or chatting about, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.